Hello and welcome to the Irn-Cru podcast, an NFL podcast made in Scotland by NFL lovers. You're listening to and watching the Preview Crew, and I'm your host, Keith McGinty. Tonight we're going to be talking Pro Bowl, a roundup of the hirings, firings, and retirings, as well as our own Gridiron Crew end of season awards. But I can't do this alone, and I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by a lineup that would get my vote as the finest crew members that we have. First up, we've got Craig Smudger Smith. Smudger, how are we?
Keith, how we doing, bud? Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, mate. It's been the week kind of leading up to the Super Bowl build-up and everything else. We've got a Pro Bowl to talk about, and yeah, I thought we'd just be focusing on that. And then there's loads of other stuff that's happened as well, so I can't wait to get stuck into what's happened.
Thankfully, it has been a very exciting and newsworthy week because when I put in the group chat that this week's podcast was going to be on the Pro Bowl, I would say lukewarm. Lukewarm was the response that I got. Scud, would you agree with that? Welcome to the pod, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. I would say it was more ice cold than lukewarm, mate, to be perfectly honest with you. But no, good. It's good to touch on some of the stuff, but glad there's a lot of news and the awards as well. Will be a cracking listen, I'm sure.
Fantastic. Traveling all the way transatlantic over to Stu, up there in Canada. Stu, you must be looking forward to the Pro Bowl. That was one of the highlights of the season for you, surely.
Well, now that the Super Bowl appearance is out of the question, it's done for the Bengals. I'm absolutely delighted that it's the Pro Bowl weekend. I've got something to look forward to. I get to see Jamar Chase going out there and doing his thing amongst the best of the best. And I see that in for the quarterbacks, he might be receiving some balls from such luminaries as Huntley and a teamless Derek Carr. So who doesn't want to watch that?
Oh, it's going to be brilliant. And you've got Kirk Cousins in there as well, and
he's
not going to have any primetime jitters because absolutely nobody is going to be watching the Pro Bowl. So watch Kirk Cousins absolutely ball out this weekend.
We'll get to the Pro Bowl in a wee bit later. First off, we're going to start with some news, and it's been a really, really busy, exciting week in the NFL, as it always is. So we'll start with our kick-off question. And we're going to turn our attention to the Denver Broncos. Are the Denver Broncos in a good landing spot for Sean Payton, who's leaving the New Orleans Saints after he's kind of semi-retired, hadn't he? He'd been doing lots of TV, and now he's finally getting back into the game. What do you think? I'll come to you first, Craig. The Broncos, is this a good landing spot? And have the Broncos actually done quite well to get him for, what was that, first and a second, I think it is, that they've traded for him? What do you think?
Yeah, they got a 2023 first round pick, 2024 second, and they've got a future third, I think, as well, thrown in there. It's an interesting one. Like where Payton was going to land was a kind of hot topic of conversation earlier on, and towards the tail end of the season, when you start to see other teams struggling, you'd think somebody like Payton, where is he going to end up landing? And there was the discussion about whether DeMeco Ryans might go there. Obviously, That's now not the case. He's got the Texans, but there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes about was Payton really the first choice here? They were tapping up a lot of different candidates. They interviewed, I think it was at least 8 different candidates for the head coaching role. So, Payton coming in, he's going to have a lot of work to do. Put it that way. It's really weird thinking about it because see if this had been a season ago, when you had all the hype of Wilson going to the Broncos at the time, and if you'd said as well, we're going to combine that with Sean Payton going there. If you're a Broncos fan, you'd be getting pretty excited about the prospect of the two of them working together. So. Time will tell. What Payton, who he brings in as well, is going to be really key. Who is he going to gather around him as far as his assistants are concerned? So, But yeah, I think Denver, they tried to negotiate this deal with Sean Payton, and then in the background, we're trying to negotiate a last-ditch attempt to convince DeMeco Ryans to come along. Yeah, that's maybe not the best message that Sean Payton's receiving. You're just fishing. It's like, yeah, you were our first choice. Yeah, we definitely wanted you to come on board. So, yeah,
someone who's always our first choice. That's Scud. Scud. Would you have went for some of the other names that had been rumoured to be on the Broncos shortlist, where D'Amico Ryans, as we said, get to him a wee bit later. Jim Harbaugh, who's still at Michigan and has consistently said that he's staying at Michigan for at least another season. They were some of the names that were linked with the job. Do you think they've actually lucked out and been knocked back by these other two to get Peyton himself?
Yeah, if they were in front of Peyton, I think they have, because Peyton's a proven manager, a coach. He's there to be there. But what I feel is he's the only one that's going to get the time to ride out Russell Wilson if it is the case. Because my thing, if it was Jim Harbaugh or Myers that come in, they wouldn't have been afforded the time to try and see how he can go with Wilson next season. But also how they're going to, if it doesn't work out, I don't think they'd have been given the time to try and develop someone else after Wilson. So I do think he's the only one that was probably going to get afforded the time to see the job through. So to me, they've done the right move there. But Smudger, I think it was only a first and a second. They were given a third back the way, mate.
Ah, sorry.
New Orleans were given the third back the other way. But I think the Broncos have got the better end of that, because although they say it's a first round pick this year, it's very 29th, I think it is. It's not exactly a big first round pick they're giving up for him. And he is a proven manager in the league who's won a Super Bowl. So they've got a good squad there. So we'll see if they can pull it all together next season. But it should be interesting to see.
Not going after their first choice, landed with an absolute genius of a head coach. Is Sean Payton, Ange Postecoglou of the NFL still?
Sean Payton is obviously a very successful coach. Is he the Angie? I can't even say his name. Angie Postecoglou. I've never had to say that out loud. I've only ever texted to you guys in the group chat. I just realised. But no, I don't know if he's equivalent to him. I will say Sean Payton might have, where this works out for the Denver Broncos is, I think that Sean Payton has a good chance of getting through to Russell Wilson, because he has that reputation as like a winner and a good head coach, and he's done it with New Orleans, and he's had multiple trips to the postseason and things, even if it's not winning the Super Bowl every single time. I think Russell Wilson might respect him a little bit more than what he did with the previous coach. What I will say as well, though, is I wonder how much of a leash Patton, the GM, is going to have, kind of thing like George that's there, because I know he signed a long-term deal when the Broncos ownership took over, or the new ownership took over the team. So they've stuck with him. But I kind of find usually in sport, if you're a GM, unless you've been in there for years, you only get one head coach firing, and then you're next on the block, especially if you've been involved in giving up multiple early round picks to get people, whether it's Russell Wilson or whether it's now the new coach, Payton. For Payton, though, I feel like there's no risk to his reputation by going there, because if they don't, they don't have a first round pick this year. Did they even have one next year? Because I can't remember the full terms of the Wilson deal off the top of my head right now. But
I don't think they have, mate, to be honest.
Yeah, so I think they're going to find it hard, developing. So they're going to need to go with what they have already, and then anything they can get in free agency. But money's going to be tight, so I don't know how free agency goes. So you're hoping that players are going to come in on cheap deals. For me, if I was Payton, I would have wanted to go to the Texans.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly where DeMarco's actually gone himself. You're talking about the Payton coming in, and George Payton himself, the GM. Yep. Actually, this is his first time role as a GM. He's only been in the job a year. He doesn't really have the gravitas that's needed to keep somebody like Russ in check. So you think this is going to be a really good hiring for him as well? He's going to actually, never know though. Sean Payton's probably looking forward to having a direct line to the owners as well. Can see him maybe going above his head a wee bit. But he's got some good, we talk about a quality QB who, if we can get them in check, or they can get them in check, they've got a really good team around them. We've talked all season about the Denver Broncos D and how strong they are. That's something that he's definitely going to be able to build upon. And they've got weapons in attack. We've just not seen it this year. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Guys like Judy and Sutton, they had issues at running back. They had the Javonte Williams injury, and then later on in the season, you had Latavius Murray coming in, and he's done okay. And you thought they would try and prioritise getting him back, because you've had other guys that have had injury issues as well, like Marlon Mack. So you would think that somebody like Murray's come in, he's done an okay job. It's at least a starting point, and they'll have to then look at overall how they're going to draft with the picks that they do have. Like you said, Stu, they've not got a first round pick this year, so there is a lot of work to do, a lot of free agency work, you would think, as well. Kind of proven assets that are looking for a new team. So
Yeah,
it's,
like I
it's a
said,
challenge. Peyton's the guy that could possibly come in and do a good job.
yeah, like I say though, the purse strings will be tight though, just with that Wilson contract floating around there. But this is a tight end again, Albert O. I had high hopes for him this season, and it never quite panned out for me in some of the fantasy leagues that I'm in. But he's another guy that I think could rebound next year if Wilson is able to be the Wilson that we all know he can be. And the other thing to point out is usually when Wilson has a bad year, he follows it up with a year where he's like right near the top of the league, like a kind of top 5-6 quarterback. So not that I'm saying he is a top 5 quarterback, especially in the AFC. There's a lot of good QBs there, but Wilson still has it in him. He's not that old yet. So
possible comeback player of the year next year, Stu.
The salary cap increase will help them a wee bit with their budget issues as well, with 16 million increase. I think
that's
true.
Aye. It's
someone else that we mentioned a few times.
Million.
That's definitely going to help them. So someone else that we mentioned a few times there, leaving San Francisco to head to the Texans, is former Houston Texan himself, DeMeco Ryans. He was the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2006 when he joined them. Stayed there for 5 years before moving on to the Eagles. A homecoming of sorts for him, Scud. Do you think he seems to be the one that they wanted? Maybe surprised that he didn't go to the Broncos. Maybe a wee bit more well established. But the Texans are starting to put in place some exciting prospects, and we saw that last season. What do you think of this signing? A good one for you?
I think it's like a really good one. I felt sorry for Levi Smith.
Yeah.
I really felt sorry for him. I think he was hiding to nothing. Potentially, he knew he was going. That's why he won that game, just to get right up them.
Go for two. Get it up,
so, no, it's just I feel for him, but I think this is a good fit. It is somebody the fans can relate to. The fans will get behind, and then he needs to hit the ground. It won't hit the ground running, but he needs to. He's got the draft picks. And they'll have the time. I think he'll be afforded some time, but it's all about the owners if they don't just make an arse it, because I think they've got the good solid there to build on, but they've been notorious for making a mess of things all the way back to Bill O'Brien. So it's just been it's been a bad situation for a wee while now, but hopefully they've made the right call. I think they have, but only time will tell.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of. I was going to say I'm a big fan of DeMarco Ryan, and I think that because he has that history there, the ownership are going to look on him as being someone that they can trust and give him a bit of rope, because they know, even if they're not great again next year, it doesn't actually really matter because they have so many draft picks, and if they have their own one pretty high near the top of the list again at the end of next season, it's that they can really over the next few years, especially if they're looking for that quarterback position to try and fill. It's like they're going to be able to stack almost every single position with skill guys, but they can pick and choose who they take at quarterback. So they maybe don't need to rush and take one this year, although we all know they're going to do it. Like they're taking someone.
I think it was proven last year they need a quarterback. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And is this likely to be a good year for getting a QB quite early on, or is that a good year group for it? I think from what the little bits that I've heard, that was maybe next year would probably be a better year to go for it.
Some good quarterbacks there, but you can draft Baker Mayfield number 1 overall. You're not guaranteed a winner.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, you can get drafted in the 6th.
Or Purdy, last overall.
So it's all these wins. There's no exact science, but I do think there is some decent quarterbacks this year. Next year's meant to be a better class, but you always hear that. It's always the following year's a better class. It's
Yeah.
always.
I mean, well, apart from the years when you've got like the Burrow year was regarded as a good year, and obviously we grabbed Burrow and that worked out. And then the next year was meant to be a good year. And if you look at that, like, yeah, it took Lawrence a bit of time, although I'm now putting most of that down to Urban Meyer. In his first year, he looks good. Mac Jones, I mean, regardless of what people say about the Pats, I still think he looks like an absolute class prospect because he's steady. And he was what? Where was he picked? Was he the fourth quarterback or fifth? Like Wilson was a reach, that didn't work. Lance has had injury issues, but again could still pan out. So
I still think Lance is a reach as well, to be honest with you.
it was a reach, but I could see why they did it. Like he had the tools.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I was going to say. This year, it feels a bit more like every single one of those top 3 quarterback prospects, they're all a bit more of a project than, none of them are like, oh, Joe Burrow, we can throw him in, or Justin Herbert. Oh, yeah, he could probably come in at some point in his first year and do all right. And, obviously they have, and the rest is history kind of thing. So, yeah, this year, if the Texans don't, I mean, to be honest, if I was them, if they're not 100% sold on a guy that they can take at 4th overall, there's no point trading up to go for him at first, as much as the Bears might want that. And I think they would be better spending that on either some more defensive help or some O-line help, because get that line in place, grab someone in free agency. Jimmy G's going to be there. Maybe you give him some money to be your quarterback for a couple of years.
I think that's exactly where they need to go. For quarterback position, look at the free agency market, look at getting somebody in that's maybe an experienced backup QB that's maybe would slot in nicely. Look at somebody like Geno Smith, the way that he's
Geno Smith's out there. He's a free agent.
Yeah.
No, he's got
Keith's blood pressure just went through the roof there.
No, that's where I think would be.
He's a Pro Bowler, Geno Smith. We'll get to that.
You hit the nail on the head, though, Stu. They need to fix the defense. They've got the worst rush defense in the whole NFL. They were allowing an average of 170 yards every game. I mean,
about every team. It wasn't even always the good teams.
Exactly. This is against, on average, against the entire NFL. And the entire NFL, like, there's teams in there with pretty bad running backs. So things can only get better for Ryans as far as that department is concerned. Yeah. And look at the job that he's done up until now. Look how good a defense he has built. If he could bring even 50% of that over to the Texans in his first year, if
you're saying they should trade for Bosa.
But to put that into perspective, like, no team's allowed over 170 rushing yards per game since the Lions went 0-16 in 2008. That's how bad the rushing defense has been. If they could sort that out, then that alone is going to help matters greatly. And as a defensive, expert, he's done wonders this season. Look how far his defense has gone. So it's good news for the Texans, absolutely, and he's got that history there. So good luck to him.
And I think one of the things that he's learned from Lovie Smith, one of the things I think he's learned from Lovie Smith is he's got a 6-year deal. He realises that they've got to be tied into him for the long run here.
Or
it's
pay him off.
One and done. Exactly. We're talking about the players and they're going for a quarterback, and it doesn't really matter your position when you get picked. A man who was drafted 199th overall and went on to become the greatest of all time is retiring for good this time. Tom Brady released, I think it was just really off the cuff. It was quite a shock to see that video of him sitting on the beach, getting quite emotional, as he said, I don't think anybody had been expecting. We thought he was going to be on for another season at least. Where he was going to end up, that was quite interesting. That would probably have kept our summers going. But an emotional but short and sharp farewell to everyone. It was touching, I've got to say. Someone who's not been a fan, I would say, because it's not my team, but how good he is and how much he changed teams when he went to them, even going to the Bucks and having him as my fantasy QB. I did kind of like him a wee bit because of that. So, what did you make of Tom? In fact, I'd be remorse not to go to one of his biggest fans actually first. Scud.
Go to Scud first.
What did you make of his What did you make of his retirement video?
He was giving Scud a chance to clear his throat there. You
Yeah,
could feel a
there's
wee
the
lump
tear.
gathering in it.
I
See his
see the
eyes
tear coming
starting
in the
to
eye.
just get a wee bit glassy there.
It was I was a tear eye this morning when I watched it, to be honest with you. But
Yeah.
no, it was for what the guy done, and I say there is probably better people who had more natural talent for quarterback. But the guy's desire to learn and win and bring the best out of himself, you can't replicate that. That's a desire within. I said you've all the big rivalries he went through and done everything with, the Super Bowls, a lot. He is the best. I can't see MD coming close to getting anywhere near his record and what he's achieved in the game. And I do think there's some cracking young quarterbacks we've got now, but again, that might hamper as well. But if you're the best and you're the best at it, you should be breaking through all of them. He had to your Mannings and everything like that, and even he's played in the era with Rodgers. Rodgers is probably technically, people say, is a better quarterback, but
Scud, sorry, I'm just going to jump in. Did anybody see, was it PFF? The other day they shared a post like when Tom Brady retired, and it was absolutely hilarious because it was like Tom Brady retires, the end of an era. It was a picture of like Brady and Roethlisberger and Peyton Manning, and like they'd all retired. Can I say like the end of the era? And then somebody replied to it below, going like, Aaron Rodgers, you might have something to say about this because he was playing like during this same time. So sorry to jump in there. It was just on an Aaron Rodgers related note.
no, I just he has. People say he's a better quarterback, but he's only ever won the one Super Bowl. But it's what Tom Brady did and the deals that he took to make sure he could build a team around him, so you can get your Mosses and that. But no, I can't speak highly enough for the big man.
That was one of the things
love him.
I admired. Sorry, pal. That was one of my things I admired about him when I've been watching. Is it Man in the Arena? The documentary is on Disney Plus. It is absolutely incredible just how much of a leader he is and how much he unifies his teams and gets the best people around him. I think that's something that you can take wee bits off him and hopefully apply into your own things. And that's what I've tried to do with the crew, of course. Get you guys involved.
Antonio Brown.
He tried his best with Antonio Brown. I mean, he's got the best out of most people with a wee asterisk, apart from Antonio Brown. Even Brady picks Antonio Brown.
By sounds of Antonio Brown, even Giselle tried her best with Antonio Brown, but we'll wait and see. I doubt that.
Allegedly, that was
allegedly. Craig, what did you make of this fond farewell part due?
Aye, yeah, the video, like you said, he was quite emotional in it. I wondered if he'd gone for a jog down the beach and just made the decision there and then. You wonder if there's an injury behind it or something. Maybe maybe stood in a jaggy shell or get stung by a jellyfish or something and just thought, enough's enough. Just when you're talking about Aaron Rodgers, Stu, he's now got more retirements than Rodgers has Super Bowls.
Yeah.
That was a great comment that I saw on Twitter today. That's absolutely superb. But it just feels like it's the end of an era. Like we've all come to the NFL at different stages of our adulthood, but Brady's been that kind of constant. And people that have watched the NFL for the past 23 seasons, he's been there. His career, as you said, Scuddy, it's never going to be paralleled or equaled or bettered. He's just the 7 Super Bowls, unbelievable. He's got 5 Super Bowl MVPs, 10 Super Bowl appearances. You could throw stats all day long when it comes to Brady. There's just so many mind-boggling stats about how good a quarterback he really is. But the one wee statistic that I just wanted to drop in, because this is an easy one, okay? Because we were talking about this in the chat. He's never had a losing record against any team in the NFL, which is an outstanding stat. That's brilliant in its own right. But he's also undefeated against 3 teams in the NFL. Do you know who they are?
Tampa Patriots.
Correct.
Yeah.
And one more. And I'll give you a clue. He's got a 6-0 record against them.
The Falcons, no?
He's got a 6-0 record.
The Vikings. I was thinking, like, if he's only played them 6 times, they have to have been in a different conference from. So I was going down the list there.
Yep. I thought it was a good wee statistic. But we don't feel too bad for Brady. You know, he's earned £333 million in his playing career, and just to soften the blow, he's going to walk into his £375 million broadcasting contract with Fox. So I don't feel too bad for him. He's not going to be short of a bob or two after he finishes up in the NFL. So I'm sure we'll hear a lot more from him.
It's a wee shame for Greg Olsen as well, who's been terrific on the co-coms. He's getting papped big time now. Stu, one of the things Craig was saying there with all the great stats that were popping up there, Tom Brady in his 20s had 21,000 passing yards. Tom Brady in his 30s had 40,000 passing yards. And Tom Brady in his 40s had 27,500 passing yards.
Hey, tell you what, that shows you how the game's changed a bit as well. Like how it used to be run first offense, but I mean, even that 21,000 in your 20s is that, you know, at that time that was kind of unheard of for then. So he's lived through that whole transition to more of like an air raid style offense, and he's stood up, even though he's like, you know, well, he's 45 now, and he's finally decided to kind of hang them up. But yeah, it's unbelievable. To give you another thing about Tom Brady that I actually hadn't realised until earlier on today. So he was actually drafted by the Montreal Expos, who were the baseball team I supported when I was a kid. They later moved, they were sold out, and they moved the franchise to Washington because that's the kind of crap that happens. And, you know, that happens in North American sports. So when that happened, I went, well, I'm not going to support Washington. I just didn't feel it was right. So then I switched my allegiance to the Mariners in Seattle. But anywho, Tom Brady was drafted by the Montreal Expos in 1995. And when he retired the other day, that made him the last active member of the Montreal Expos franchise to retire from sport. I think the last guy that was like an active player for the Expos retired in something like 2012. So it just shows you more than a decade later, Brady. So he's also like setting records for sports franchises in other sports. Never mind the one he played in. So
I suppose he's still played in like 25 years.
But you know what? Now that he's retired from football, maybe he could, you know, sign a contract with a Major League Baseball team. So maybe we'll see him playing for somebody. You never know.
That one's quite sad. Makes me think they should be putting him in the panda enclosure now that they're heading back to China in Edinburgh. See if we can get another baseballer to procreate with them. Get Michael Jordan in. He has. Brady, incredible. I'm sure we'll maybe even do a wee standalone podcast, or if Danny gets in the way, and it'll be down to a wee series. Yeah,
I mean, even me as a Bengals fan, I would say, yeah, we should do in the off season. That one writes itself. Like we have to do a feature on Brady. But...
Oh yeah.
This weekend, though, we can't put it off any longer, guys. It's the
contain your excitement. Contain it.
It's Pro Bowl season. Woo!
Yes, Pro Bowl. Anyway,
they finally relented and made it what it's been for years. And that's basically was it tag football, where they just they don't really tackle each other. There's nothing really in it for anyone. But now it's kind of turned into a bit like gladiators for what I've been reading the wee bits. Someone's going to run us down with some of the great events that we can see, the skill games that we can see this weekend. Smudger, if you got a few there you want to share?
Yep, yeah, absolutely. There's a few that jumped out. You've got the Gridiron Gauntlet, which I'm particularly looking forward to see because Brian will like this. Brian's on the review crew to talk about the Pro Bowl, but you've got Browns players. 3 Browns players in the Gridiron Gauntlet, right? You've got Nick Chubb, well, Brian's favourite, Myles Garrett,
Brian's other favourite,
swinging helmets everywhere, and Joe Bitonio as well.
Brian's other favourite, that he loves them all.
It's going to be brilliant. So it's a side-by-side relay race. They're going to highlight the players' speed and agility as they climb walls, go under tables, navigate a tyre turn, and push a blocking sled at the end with a coach sitting on it. So that's exactly like gladiators, doesn't it?
So it's a relay. See the way it's a relay race. I'm really hoping that they mix this up and they don't have it like the obvious order of guys. Like, for instance, like I want to see Joe Batonio climbing the wall.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him pushing the sled with the coach on it at the end.
Like the athletic guys doing the you want the massive like linebackers.
Aye, and the O line, yeah, because
Why should you get up the travelator?
yeah, I see that
slowest setting.
I see that Dion Dawkins from the Bills is there as well, and you mentioned there that like one of the things is going under tables. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. I think that he's going to be climbing up a ladder and going straight through the table. Bill's Mafia style. Like.
I would pay to go and see that. That would be entertaining.
For sure. But no, you're right. See if it was more like the Gladiators, it'd be fantastic. It made that remember the event where you had to kind of run and fire things at like a target from miles away, and the Gladiator had this ball gun, the tennis ball launcher, and they try and machine gun you down. Oh, I used to love that when I was away. I would love to have a shot at that game.
Just get Lightning and Jetpack for it, and we'll all tune in.
Atmospheres, like having Chubb, just have Chubb and Henry going at each other in the atmospheres.
That's it. We'll petition for that for next year.
Mesh it with Gladiators with kind of a wee bit of Takeshi's Castle flung in there as well.
Yes,
I think
the battering through the honeycomb maze thing for Takeshi's Castle. Aye, with the doors. Just have Chubb in there like running.
Imagine just having, I don't know, get somebody from the crowd, actually pick somebody out, give them a head start.
They have to get through
and then have somebody like Nick Chubb or somebody chasing
Garrett. No, Miles Garrett. That'd be terrifying.
Brilliant. I can't even wait for this now.
But that's not what they're doing, though. They're doing their stupid flag football, and I mean they have the events, but it's not. They should have just done it as Gladiators. we know how to sell the NFL, boys.
We'll petition it for next year. Oh, that'd be brilliant. Oh, amazing. So there's been quite a few pullouts from it, obviously. Patrick Mahomes, for some reason, he can't make it. I don't know what's up with him. Instead, we've got for the AFC, the quarterbacks, who have we got to look forward to? Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence is good.
He's a big name. He's decent. Yep. Strong start.
Tyler Huntley. And then Derek Carr, will he be able to play? Could he risk his career actually playing this?
He's put himself in the shop window in the Pro Bowl. Something he's a team. Come on.
Is he in any of the absolutely stupid events? I don't know if he is. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just scanning down it. So there's the move the change Sunday. So that's 2 teams from each conference completing a best of 3 weighted 10-yard wall pull. And I don't see him there. No.
Precision passing he's in.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's no chance. He's up against Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, and Jared Goff for that one. Nah, NFC all the way.
Cousins is winning that one, hands down.
You may as well try and win something.
By the way, if you guys can hear a crunchy noise behind me, that's my bunny rabbit is here destroying a box. I should probably stop it for doing that, but I'm going to leave it for a bit longer. The box is wrecked already.
This season, this rabbit has caused no end of hassle for us trying to record because the rabbit's chewed through the cable or my headphones or the laptop.
Just came out. I don't know if you can see it. It's over there next to the drum kit.
There we go.
There it is.
I see it.
But now my cables just fell out, which I better plug in because the laptop also dies instantly whenever that happens. So.
There we go.
Live TV, boys. Live TV.
Live TV. Who we got? Running backs. For the NFC, you've got Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard. Did he not get injured?
I thought Tony Pollard was done. Did he not have a broke foot or something?
Aye, that's what I thought. Miles Sanders is out, of course. Dalvin Cook's replacement for Pollard, and Christian McCaffrey. He's really rubbing it in now for everybody that doubted him with his injury. He's back for the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
He's only got one leg, but
Be hilarious if he makes it all the way to the end of the season, no injuries, and then ends up getting injured in the Pro Bowl.
Well,
ACL.
he's playing dodgeball. Is that today? That's Thursday. Oh, that's no. Today is Thursday.
And dodgeball today.
All right.
Oh yes,
Terrific.
I can't
tuning
wait to
in
see
for
that. Right, let's look at this. So the
Terrific.
teams.
Other
in
running backs you've got. Other running backs for the AFC, you've got Chubb, Josh Jacobs, and Derrick Henry. Ooh, I'm thinking
not a bad
AFC
trio.
wins that one.
telling you, Atlas fears Derrick Henry versus Chubb. That would be the best way to solve all this.
They're both in the NFC.
The AFC. Imagine they crashed together and then fused and became one running back.
That would be scary.
Who we got then for the wide receivers? The AFC wide receivers making their appearances. We've got Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, and Jamar Chase. That's pretty important.
That's elite.
Sounds like your fantasy team, Stu.
Aye,
that would be
that's
frightening.
pretty elite.
However, look at the other side. It's not exactly a bad set of wide receivers you've got in the NFC either, led by JJ, Scary Terry, CD Lamb, and Amon-Ra. That's going to be
decent
pretty
as well.
tasty, aye?
Oh, that's pretty impressive, actually. Yeah. Tight ends, we've got Kittle and Hawkinson. And for the NFC, Craig, you take the AFC, I'll go for the NFC. You've got Mark Andrews and Dawson Knox. Big Dawson. I hope that it go better for him this season than it did.
I have him in Dynasty, so I'd like it to go well for him next year as well.
Hawkinson and Kittle on the NFC side for tight ends.
Who really cares about this? Anyway, there's going to be
kickers. We care about the kickers. Kick tack toe. That sounds good.
Go on then.
Kickers at least competing in the kick tack toe Sunday. You have Justin Tucker from the AFC, from the Ravens. I mean, that kind of writes itself. Justin Tucker, as much as I hate the Ravens, is an absolute legend. So, fair play to him. And then Myers from your Seahawks will be there as well. So kick-tack-toe, that's each team's kicker, punter, and long snapper. They're going to compete in a tic-tac-toe competition. So you've got Tucker from the Ravens, AJ Cole from the Raiders, Morgan Cox from the Titans. I think those are all very good choices. And then for the NFC, Myers, Tress Way from the Commanders, and Andrew Paula from the Vikings. Yeah. So that should be good. I quite like kick-tac-toe, actually.
I've not seen this. What is it?
You're not seeing it. It's like a massive grid, tic-tac-toe grid. So instead of kicking for the field, instead of field goal, you've got it into quarters, and it's basically just kick the ball through, nominate what one you're trying to.
Nice.
And you have to get it,
and that you nominate it, and you have to get it. Yeah.
That sounds
like unfair because Tucker won't miss.
Myers has been Mr. Reliable this season as well. It sounds like a big weekend. Did perfect. Don't know if you follow them on YouTube. Make sure you follow at Irn-Cru on YouTube. Like and subscribe. This is going to be an exciting weekend. I'm looking forward to it. It's just going to tease us enough for the massive weekend that we've got coming ahead. Make sure you stay with the Gridiron Crew for your preview to the Super Bowl. We're going to be having a busy week. We'll be getting in touch with fans stateside over here from both of the teams. We are going to have a giveaway as well, and we'll be doing a live pod on the day of the Super Bowl. We're all meeting up to do one in a wee hotel room before we go out and enjoy the show that evening. I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be fantastic, guys. Let's move on now to the Gridiron Crew first ever annual award ceremony. We'll get a better.
We don't need to get.
You need to write a jingle, mate.
We need to get we need sound effects that we can play because, or we could just continue to go.
I can't quite like that. It's got a bit Monty Python-esque whenever we do it like that. Let's see what we'll start with. We'll start at the top then. We'll go for QB most like a bobblehead award this season. Who's been flattened, flummoxed, pummeled into the ground the most? Scud, who's your nomination for this one?
There can only be one winner in this, surely. To hell, Tua. The guy's been concussed more times than I would hot dinners, and that's saying something.
Poor guy.
He's quite topical. He's cleared concussion protocol and would been able to play this weekend, but he's pulled out probably for his own safety. Thank God.
Under doctor's orders, probably.
Yep.
What we used to? Who you going for?
I'm going for Tua as well, because I mean, literally, the closing the name, the bobblehead thing. So it was a few of his hits where he went down where it was literally like he had no neck strength at all. And, you know, I wonder how much of that kind of plays into the concussions as well. But I really like Tua. I've spoken about him a lot, obviously, on the show before in the past when we were doing our reviews during the season. So I just hope he's okay and can either continue on with his career, or if he can't do it, just make the smart decision and get out of Dodge now. Like, you've made some money, and you've got the rest of your life to live.
Craig, you gone with Tua for this one? Have you got another nominee?
I would go with Tua, but I would also give an honourable mention to Josh Johnson, who came on at the weekend and lasted about 5 minutes before going off with a bobblehead as well. I felt pretty sorry for him. So he would definitely be honourable mention, but Tua is the standout candidate for bobblehead of the year. Hopefully he's a bit less bobbleheady next year.
Runners up, of course, Teddy Bridgewater, who was concussed after coming in for a concussed tour. And I think we'll give Mac Jones an honourable mention as well for getting absolutely flattened into the ground before that touchdown. And
you leave him alone.
Oh.
I will hear no smack about Mac.
Let's see, who else will we go for next? I don't believe the hype award. Who has been bigged up the most this season, but you think it's been actually a bit of a disappointment? Any suggestions for this one, gentlemen?
Can it be at the beginning of the year before the full season kicked off, or does it have to be throughout the year?
Go for it. Listen,
there was one quarterback who was getting bigged up. All his teammates with t-shirts saying we're with him. No. One thing, he's going to be this, he's that, he's doing this. He's too busy with grannies instead.
Kirk Cousins. No.
Hey, leave Kirk Thuggins out of this.
Start of the year, the Jets were going to be amazing. The full team were behind Zach Wilson. What a pile of shite he turned out to be.
Yeah.
And I love that his teammates really rallied behind him when they threw them all under the bus and they get the
t-shirts.
I get the Mike White t-shirts. That was class.
I wonder what they'll start with next season. Is he going to be coming back, do you think, or will it be up for grabs?
I think
we'll get some form of veteran quarterback in there to go with that team.
Yeah, I think Mike White looked okay in spots, and then obviously he got injured. And he came back in when they were still trying to hunt down the playoff spot. So I don't know how much of his bad play once he came back was just to do with that rib injury he had. So I wonder if Mike White gets a chance to run with it, or whether they try and grab somebody in free agency this summer, like just if there's another veteran that they can maybe throw in their team. But as for most overhyped players, who do I think, it's easier to do guys that aren't hyped enough, isn't it? I mean, I think about overhyped players. Yeah,
there's only one for me. I think it's time that let's ride. It's Big Russ.
Yeah,
what he was
Big
going
Russ
to do.
Big Russ is in there, certainly. Aye.
Aaron Rodgers, maybe 2 years in a row MVP, and then came into this season and just kind of
lead an egg.
Or maybe
Russ could be nominated for, isn't there?
The Packers D in general, because before the season, all I was hearing about was how the Packers D was going to be the the best defense in the entire league, and it was going to help Aaron Rodgers finally get that Super Bowl, and they just didn't really ever seem to turn up.
No, they didn't. Yep, you're right there, buddy, 100%.
That's some good nominees. So I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll put these out to Twitter, and we'll see what the fans, the listeners, think themselves. Next up, we've got the Julio Jones Player Who Blew My Fantasy Chances Award. Who are you hating on this season, Craig? Who absolutely stuffed your team?
Well, to be honest, I was thinking about this, like players that have stuffed anyone's fantasy team, like player owners out there that have either spent a very high draft pick on players that have ended up in true Julio Jones fashion, going on IR and absolutely scuppering them. So my nomination for that this year is Cooper Cup.
Yes.
who I thought, there'd be many a Cooper Cup owner out there. I traded away Cup, thankfully, while he was still healthy at just the right time. But I did feel very bad for Sherry when he then got put
Fellow
on IR
Vikes
for
fan as well.
the year. I know. But I'm sure there's many a Cooper Cup owner out there that was cursing him because I'm sure he ended a lot of fantasy seasons this year.
That'll be JJ next year, mate. Don't worry.
You take that back, Scud. How dare you?
Scud, did you not have Cooper Cup at one point this season?
No, I'd even worse. I had the first overall pick, and I'd in Taylor.
Oh, JT, he's a
and
shout
before it,
as well.
I told you before it, I was between JJ or Jonathan Taylor. I picked wrong.
Yeah,
That's actually a shout, Scuddy.
As if I picked first twice, I've had JJ and Mike McCaffrey, and they say that was the year McCaffrey done his thing after one game. So, no, for me, it must be Jonathan Taylor this year. That hurts, still hurts very much.
So who do we think?
You going first, Stu?
Yeah, for me, I have to say, it's Jonathan Taylor, just because he was first overall in so many people's leagues, and he's blown so many people's seasons this year. I mean, it's not his own fault. It's obviously injury comes into it, and that's the problem with the running back position. It so often happens. But
also the team been absolute pants, didn't
they? That too. Saturday.
He had one bright moment, did he not? He had that half against you guys.
Who?
Taylor.
Jeff Saturday.
Oh, right, aye, yeah, Saturday.
That first game,
yeah.
Aye.
All kind of went tits up after that.
Keeping with the fantasy and even the trading between teams, we'll look at the next one is the worst trade of the year. Who did we think was the worst, who did more damage than good to their team?
So many
dangerous
candidates.
I'm saying dangerous Russ Wilson.
Multi-award winner.
Come on, it's like the amount of stuff they gave up for him, and he did nothing.
I did think similar, Stu. I thought Wilson and my other QB nomination is Deshaun Watson's 5-year, £230 million contract with the Browns, which I think has to be mentioned as one of the worst trades as well.
Yeah, for other reasons too, just for optical reasons.
Yeah, even QB reasons as well.
He's looked very rusty. Thankfully, I hope that continues. Another mention that we'd had in the chat when we were discussing this earlier was Chase Claypool, who I don't think he's actually won a game since joining the Chicago Bears. They've been absolutely honking since he joined. Grant, of course, will tell us otherwise, that he's just been unlucky. That next season he's going to really, really take off, but that's not looking a good trade just now.
No.
He's a shout for most overhyped as well. In fact, just based on Grant's messages in our WhatsApp chat, probably just the Chicago Bears as a team were probably the most overhyped organisation this season.
Simultaneously, the worst and best team in the league, because it's like we want first overall, but we're also very good. We've got the whole league right where we want them.
The only thing I'd say for them, the positive side is they know they've got a quarterback now, whereas the big off thing was he going to be a quarterback? Yeah. They know they've got that, but whether he can stay fit is a different issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Next one we've got is the He's Punching Overachiever Award. Who has... I'm going to nominate my man. Nobody sort of coming at all this season. It had to be the one and only Gino. Gino Smith. Oh, Gino, the joy you've given me in about, was it 9 and 8 we got this season? I didn't see it coming at all. I thought we were going to have a terrible season. Really, really, really dreadful. It was going to be a long, long year. But the way that he managed to really bring DK Metcalf and the team together again and actually use some of the rookies that we had out there I thought he's been fantastic. So definitely overachiever, and hopefully he does get a decent payday out of this and stays with us. I'm going for Geno Smith. Anyone else?
I'm going to say
in there as well.
So, Purdy, yeah, that's a good bit. I'm going to give an honourable mention to the entire Detroit Lions team as well, and say like they overachieved. They definitely overachieved for where I thought they were going to be, but they were great fun, and they actually have something they can build on as well going forward. So I think they're in a great spot too.
Just a random question: do you give Goff the contract this year for what he done?
Yes.
Agreed.
I think yes. Yeah, just because
he's done enough to know you can work with him.
Yeah, exactly. And he definitely could run that offense. And even if you bring in, say they're sitting in a good position, like we were talking about earlier with the Texans, they can basically wait and pick and choose the quarterback they want, or they can take one of these guys that's a project and know that he can sit behind Goff for a year or two and learn, or learn how to run that offense, like from somebody that I know the Rams like to kind of crap on Goff, but he's shown that like he did it this year with Detroit, so he's not looked bad at all there. So yeah, I would keep him just for that, the whole mentor aspect as well.
100%, mate.
Great shout. Anyone else?
No, I'd say they're three good candidates, Purdy, the Lions, and Geno.
Yeah, I think so. This one came in from Studs. The Harry Houdini Award goes to. I think we look for other nominations, but he's tipping Mike Hilton from the Bengals to get this one. After he renamed it from Arrowhead to Burrowhead, but then had one of the worst performances that's ever been seen in a championship game. I didn't really back up his words there, did he?
I'm not even going to reply to this one. I don't need to think about it. I was less than happy on Sunday, and even Monday morning I was less than happy. And then I woke up Tuesday and I did my first mock draft of the summer, and that was me over the Bengals loss. But I don't need to revisit it though. But yeah, I guess if we're going to talk about guys disappearing though, I would like to suggest
Wilson again.
Aye, Wilson.
Is he actually?
Well, Zach.
Zach in the first place. He's just never there. I've got one. I would nominate the Indianapolis Colts.
Finished.
I know. Indianapolis Colts. The entire Indianapolis Colts disappeared.
Yeah, the entire organisation disappeared at half time and made a 33-point lead disappear.
Who I was going to suggest was actually, and I love this player, so I feel really bad saying it, Justin Jefferson. Because he was absolutely absent. When the guy has like such a dominant year in the regular season, he comes into the playoffs and then he just disappeared. He never saw a pass. And I don't know if you can put it all down to Cousins, because it's sort of also on Jefferson as well. So we'll see next year. We need to see what he can do next year, but we know he's a stud in the regular season, but does he turn into Harry Houdini in the off season?
Can we put in the Pats offensive coaches?
Ooh,
that's a brilliant one. I like that. That meme, that one of them, it's like, okay, right, we need a call, and he's just like staring up at the sky. That was incredible.
You'll be glad that Patricia's away now. Who have
one more Houdini.
Brian.
Well, that'll be good. Right, yeah, he'll be good. One more Houdini. Mac Jones during the lateral pass situation where he disappeared instead of trying to tackle the guy.
Like a Coke can.
Into the centre of the earth. He disappeared.
And that one actually comes up. I think that'd be a great nomination for what's the wide receiver doing, Tom? Award for the biggest fuck up of the season. The lateral pass there, that was absolutely hilarious. I think that certainly has to be one of them there. Any other suggestions for mess ups that happened during games?
Yep, honourable mention to the butt punt at the very start of the season. I think any excuse to mention the butt punt has to get thrown in there.
Forgot about the butt punt somehow.
Yeah, how could you forget about the butt punt, Stu?
Yeah. Who was the kicker that went to punt the ball but dropped it like it was a rugby ball?
Oh,
That was
God.
one of the. Is he no Scottish? I'm sure he's Scottish. Is it the Giants kicker? He tried to kick it like it was a rugby ball. That's one.
Oh, the drop kick.
Aye.
The drop kick, that's it.
I remember watching that, and I can't remember what game it was now. I've watched so many games this year. I should add
What
that
a
one.
season it's been.
Jamie,
What
Gunn.
It's something like that. What a season it's been, though. It's just, it's absolutely.
Studs will message in. When...
Jamie Gillian from Brian in the chat. Thanks,
there
Brian.
You go, Brian.
Thanks for listening.
I thought it was
keeping us right. Terrific. Any other suggestions then for try to think of other hilarious
The only one I
moments
could
that's
think
happened
of
throughout the
was, I said to you earlier, it was a Vikes game. I can't remember the game, but it was Rager was streaking down the field, looked like he had a dead set touchdown, and he stopped.
Yep.
And
that was a Colts game, I think.
Aye, that's what it was. Over the top. And then he just went right by him, and then it was an interception. I was like, what the... And Sheeny was going tonto, thinking it was Cousins. I was like, that's fuck out with David Cousins.
Aye.
Why you see what just stopped?
Stop dead. Yep.
Yeah, that was the Colts game. And that's and they still came back and won.
Exactly.
Just shows you.
The only other
range of emotions.
The only other like what the fuck play of the year that again honourable mention is just the Chiefs doing their ringer rosies. Just the sheer disrespect that they showed in that play alone, like just utterly taking the piss by this point. Like if you're lining up against that, you must have been so pissed off.
We should maybe have a best singer of the year award.
Oh,
so because that was an absolute an absolute highlight for me. Like, because I know I was messaging you guys during the game, and I kind of felt a bit salty because I'd backed the Niners a bunch of places, so I was kind of really wanting them to win, and obviously what happened. Nothing against the Eagles because like I love Minshew, so I'd like to see him get a ring, which is one of the hilarious things. But that trophy presentation after the game, I was actually in tears laughing. It was so funny. Like I don't think Jalen Hurts had any idea that he was going to be forced to sing up there because he just simply had no idea what was going on. But yeah, I wouldn't want him on a team for karaoke if I had a night out there was a competition. Would not want Jalen Hurts on my team.
No one, I guess, give me a SingStar.
Also, I thought we were going to have awards for the actual team, but we're doing it for players, as in for the crew.
Ooh,
because I'd started coming up with like awards I was going to nominate for people, like most excited person in a Vikings comeback, Smudger.
Keep it.
Awesome, love it.
It's a long 6 months between the Super Bowl and then the next game starting. You never know what we're going to have to come up with in that time. So keep them. I think that's a good idea. We're going to have loads of different podcasts and videos live streaming throughout the year. We'll just keep it going. Loads of news. We'll be able to look back at past seasons, massive games. Listen, this is just the start for the crew, and we're going to get bigger and better in season 2. Gentlemen, I think that's a good time to call it quits tonight. We'll have Danny and the review crew back on Monday night. They'll be able to go over the pick the bones of the Pro Bowl.
I can't wait for Brian's analysis of the Browns players in that relay race. It's
going to be great. Detailed analysis, blow by blow, exactly what happens. Brian's going to be rubbing his hands going, I can't wait to watch
Miles Garrett straight through the wall.
Oh, it's going to be terrific. Scott, thanks very much for joining us tonight, mate.
No problem, buddy. Good to be here.
Stu, appreciate you spending the time with us.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure again.
It always is a pleasure. Craig, again, with yourself, a pleasure with you guys. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Cheers, Keith.
As I said, Danny will be back Monday night. Look over the news, the Pro Bowl chat, and to start our Super Bowl build-up. So look forward to that on Monday night. We will be active over Twitter, try and get on our Instagram, And Stu, you volunteered to do the TikTok as well, haven't you?
Why, like 3 months ago? I posted something on my own TikTok the other day, so that's a step closer. So one day we will launch the NFL
Post their name,
Gridiron
mate.
Crew.
I have no idea what TikTok fucking is.
You don't want to know. I'm going to put it that way.
Something
Now that I'm on it,
mate.
Aye.
It's terrific. Well, we'll talk off air on that. Gentlemen, thanks very much. Thanks very much for listening. You can like and subscribe. That would be brilliant. Really help us get the name out there. Follow us on Twitter at Gridiron-Crew and on Instagram, grid_iron_crew. Get in touch. If you've got any of your own suggestions for our awards, we'd look forward to hearing from you, and we'll share the best on Twitter as well. From myself and all the crew, have a great evening and enjoy your Pro Bowl weekend.
Yes.